Hello snowboarders of the internet. I'm your host Kevin, here with another Angry Snowboarder review, and today I'm going to be talking about the Bent Metal transfers. I rode these on my personal Alec in a 155 as well as the Marhar Woodsman in a 145. On the Woodsman I rode it on a pretty good late spring pow day. It's been 5 to 8 inches, so good conditions to really kind of feel how these are going to flex and kind of the fluidity of the binding. And then on the Alec, rode it in your pretty average kind of early spring conditions. So decent snow, nothing crazy good. Hadn't snowed in a few days at that point, but good snow conditions overall. Was able to get into the park a little bit and just kind of dink around and yeah, just kind of put it through the paces really in just about any conditions you can get into in Colorado in late spring. There is a little bit more adjustability on the transfer than some of the other stuff out there. You've got your heel cup adjustment, so you just spin the bolts out that run right through the heel cup there. And you've got 3 positions to it, and then just tighten that back down, and that's going to allow you to center your boot inside the binding. The only carryover from the old terrible bent metal bindings is the forward lean block. It's super simple and it just works. It's basically just a block of solid rubber that they mount offset so that as you spin that block, it changes how much forward lean you get. It's really easy and it works. And then you have your strap adjustments. So toolless bolts, you just flip the tab up, spin it out, move it where you need to. There is a little tab on the strap to keep it from just rotating freely on that bolt. But center it back down, get the holes lined up, spin that bolt back in. And then the front of the binding, you do have 2 positions you can kind of shift your toe strap into. So it's got 2 little positions. You can move forward, move back, depending on how it's going to land on your boot. The straps on these are pretty minimalist and definitely of that kind of new age of more injected molding, 3D shaping, no frills, no seams, no fabric. And it works really well. So the ankle strap is foam that's going to be touching your boot, and then there is a plastic exoskeleton on the outside. It's supportive, it has a little bit of flex to it, so it's not going to feel super demanding. It's not going to feel like it's causing any hot points or pressure points on your foot or ankle. It works really well. It has some decent flex to it side to side, so it's not going to just lock you into the binding and restrict movement at all. And then the only real change to this binding is the toe strap. And for the most part, the shape didn't drastically change, but they added a rubber mesh between those 2 bands that kind of connect it top to bottom. And really what it does is just kind of creates a little bit more of a premium feel and a little bit better kind of lockdown to it. So if you ever have any issues with those super basic straps holding onto your boot, this is definitely going to be a little bit nicer just because of that little bit extra rubber. There's just a little bit more surface area to hold onto your boot. Overall, I don't think it changed really the functionality of the strap too drastically. It just kind of adds a little bit more of a premium feel to it. For the most part, the ratchets went entirely unnoticed, and that's a good thing. As long as the ratchet does its job, it releases smooth and climbs well, then I don't really notice what it's doing. The only thing I really did notice is it has a nice sound to it. For some strange reason, I don't know what Bent Metal does differently than everybody else, but their ratchets sound a little bit different than everybody else's, and it has this nice tone to it. So if that matters to you, I don't know why it would, but just in case it does, know that they sound nice. So Bent Metal calls this an engineered polymer Highback. Basically, it's a nylon Highback. Let's just call it what it is. And it's got a really nice flex to it. It's got some movement to it. It's not super crazy stiff. It's not demanding. It has a really nice 3D cup shape to it in the back. So even though it has a little bit more of that lateral flex to it, basically what that allows to happen is the binding tends to follow you around as you're moving around on top of the board. So it has plenty of support to it. This is the type of flex that I can put on just about any board out there, and it's going to do its job, and it's going to be able to handle anything I put it on. A little bit softer up top because of that big open cutout, so it has a little bit of give to it. It's just going to keep it from feeling like it's biting into your boot or biting into your leg, and then pretty supportive and stiff down the lower section. So overall, a little bit softer up top, a little bit stiffer down low, and a little bit softer-ish torsional flex, but something that's always supportive and always as much as you need it to be. The overall flex lands this at just above the middle of the road flex. So you have that little bit of softer torsional flex and a little bit softer lateral flex out of the strap, but the underfoot feeling is a little bit more supportive, and you do have that aluminum heel cup throughout the back, and that's kind of what pumps it up a little bit above that mid flex. So it's got some support to it, but for the most part, a little bit more on that movement side, but has plenty of response to it, and something that is responsive enough that I can put on pretty much any board I really want to put these on, and it's going to do its job, and it's going to be able to handle that board. The overall ride feel on pretty much every Bent Metal is predominantly dominated by drive plates. This is the footbed that your boot, basically, you stand on top of it. These guys are actually made at Mervyn, so they're made at the same place that LibTech and Canoes are made, and it's made with a sandwich construction. So this one specifically is their basalt makeup. The flexus between all the drive plates is pretty subtle for the most part, but this lands right in the middle. The best thing that I really like about drive plates is it offers the best kind of blend of dampening as well as board feel that really I've ridden in a long time. Being super thin and minimal foam on top of it, you get pretty close and down low to the boards. You get really good board feel out of these, especially with the mini disc that is on the Transfer. But because of that sandwich construction and the epoxy and the basalt that goes into these, they ride really smooth. So you get that more damp feel that you would out of a board that has that super damp feel to it, but your board can actually still be lively. So you get that board feel, that damp feel, and overall the binding just rides really smooth underfoot. The Transfer is really, I feel like, the workhorse of the bent metal line. This is the binding you can put just about anybody in and they're gonna be satisfied. It's good on jib boards all the way up to your softer freeride boards. If you're looking for that gnarly, stiff, crazy, aggressive binding, it's probably not gonna fit what you're really looking for. But anything other than that, and this will handle it. This binding just feels super natural to me. It feels just like the type of binding that I've been riding for years. You strap into it, you don't have to think about it. It's never in the way, but it's always there when you need it to be there. And drive plates are sweet. So the addition of that kind of webbing in the toe strap did add some benefit to it. It does feel a little bit more of that premium feel to it, which I think kind of pumps up the value of the binding a little bit. And that more colorway looks sick, so that's always a bonus. And yeah, I mean, I like this binding. This is something that I would definitely ride myself as an everyday binding, and that kind of says a lot. I'm a little, I've become pretty picky with my bindings, maybe not quite as picky as Avran. I do ride more than one model, but for the most part, yeah, like this is just a solid, good go-to binding. If you're the type of person that just can't decide on something, you just want something that's just gonna work and is pretty average, middle of the road as far as everything is concerned, then check out the bent metal Transfers. It's a solid option for just about everybody. Thanks for watching. This has been my review of the bent metal Transfers. What did you think? Have you been riding Transfers in the past? Do you feel like I've kind of nailed it? Have you had terrible experiences? Have you had great experiences with this binding? Let's have a conversation about it. While we're doing that, make sure you click the subscribe button and hit the bell. Make sure you get notifications when these videos are coming out. If you're interested in supporting us, the best way to do that is to check out Angry Snowboarder VIP. I can tell you a little bit more about it, but we made a fancy video, so check out that instead. And thanks for watching. Come back for the next video. Engineered polymer.
Engineered polymers. I've got engineered polymers in my butthole. Remember, they're renaming natural gas to freedom gas. So anytime you fart, you're releasing gas. It's freedom.
Freedom gas.